Hey everybody, it's Craig from Nightbolt Games, and today we're going to talk about Return to Silent Hill. Not just Return to Silent Hill, welcome to Raccoon City, or just Davis Films in general. Um, so when Return to Silent Hill came out, when it was announced, I saw the teaser and made the decision immediately to not watch it. The way that my parents raised me it's not necessarily the way that I raise my children exactly, but my parents were like go ahead and touch that, like to a hot surface or whatever, and then you burn your hands, and then they're like, you can go do that again. I saw Silent Hill Revelations in theaters. I brought a friend with me. It wasn't like a date situation. It was just a guy friend who I was introducing to the series, and I was like, come watch the movie, check out the games, blah, blah, blah. He saw a movie. I don't think he ever actually took my advice on movies ever again. Sorry, Oscar. So I knew immediately I wasn't going to watch it. And then I had people, some of you people on here, they're like, you going to watch it? Like, no, I'm not going to fucking watch. You know I'm not going to watch it. It's like, hey, you want to see something that you really enjoy just get molested right in front of you? No. So, my 13-year-old, he played the original Silent Hill 2 right before the remake came out. And when the remake came out, he ended up not only buying it, he asked for his own copy of it at his mom's house. So, because he knows he can't open my physical copy. It's sealed. It's gonna be sealed forever, or until I guess Sony's networks go down. But anyway, so my son, he played those two games, and then he asked me if we could watch the Silent Hill movie, and I was like, the Silent Hill movie was decent, okay? As far as like movies going off the path, the first Silent Hill was decent, and I remember I was with my son that I'm talking about, his mom at the time in 2006. I went to go see Silent Hill in the theaters 6 times. I went with groups of people each time. But I was 21 when the Silent Hill movie came out. And I know that the first time I went to go see it, and I was with his mom, and I'm sitting there the whole time. I know I was talking during the movie, because I was like, it's actually supposed to be a father and his daughter. And then realistically at the time I was like, I just think they didn't do that because at the time, like Last of Us didn't have its impact yet. You know, the whole like father-daughter bond. And I think, they thought it would sell better if it was a mother and daughter. I honestly believe that, so that's the reason I let that slide with the first Silent Hill. And up until that point, like, I just saw Doom the year before, 2 years before. And that was the last like big video game movie up until Silent Hill came out that I was excited to go see because I'm a huge Doom fan, and I went to go see that, and it was utter shit. And I'm mentioning Doom for a very specific reason, because that corridor scene that everyone will argue is like the best part of Doom was the first person scene. They only put that in there so that they could like do whatever they wanted around it, and they're like, these idiots will think it's okay because we did this. It made me feel like insulted. That is exactly how I felt watching Return to Silent Hill the entire time. So we actually watched Revelations after. I got sidetracked. We watched Silent Hill 1. I probably talked the same way I just talked there the whole time while he's watching the movie. And he thought it was okay. He'll never watch it again. I'm pretty sure he said it was okay, but I don't think I would watch it again. And I was like, we just, at the time, we didn't have any video game movies that were decent. And this one was decent. It wasn't Silent Hill, but it was decent. And then we watched Revelations. And I warned him ahead of time. And I was like, this movie, I mean, he hasn't played all the games yet, so he doesn't understand. But I was like, this movie put some real stink on the franchise. I'm warning you. I was like, this was like even upsetting to me, where I was like, whatever. Because, it was between Homecoming and Downpour, and I didn't really like either of those. And they're giving us shitty movies, and they're making pachinko machines. It's like I don't want to participate in Silent Hill anymore. And I explained it to him like that, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm still gonna watch it." So, the way that my living room's set up is like a theater. I have a row of comfy seats here, and then a row with a comfy seat there, and a computer chair, like 2 computer chairs. There's another one of them over there because there's a desk with a PC. So we have a stack like that. Dad's seat right in the front of the TV. That's my seat. My son, he likes sitting in the back. So we're about 40 minutes in to Revelations. I fell asleep. I woke up and looked back. My son's not even there. His blanket's not there, his pillow, his phone, nothing. I was like, he fucking bailed on the movie. He didn't want to finish it. So imagine my surprise when last week he goes, "Is Return to Silent Hill really that bad?" And I was like, I don't know, but I really haven't gave it any attention. And he was like, well, he's like, do you want to watch it? And I was like, I don't. I was like, but if you want to watch it, that's something we're gonna do together. So it's gonna be bonding. And I was like, but I'm not paying for it, so use your imagination there. Except FYI, the file that I got, I actually originally did this video with my TV in the back because I was gonna have the movie running in the background, and now it says I can't even open the file anymore. That's how bad that movie is. But so we get the movie, and I'm not going to do a scene for scene breakdown because I'm really actively trying to forget that I wasted my time sitting through that movie. I went upstairs and told my wife and daughter like 4 times how upset I was at the movie as it was actively playing. But let's open with James driving a convertible. Okay. I mean, yeah, all right. They kind of nailed the car, right? It definitely should have been a Dodge, and it should have been an older Dodge. So they didn't nail it. I think they had him driving a Mustang. Was it a Mustang? I don't know. I don't want to go back and watch it again. He should have been in a Charger, in my opinion. But whatever. They probably had a deal. I don't know why anybody would throw money at them. I'm losing the point. The point was he was driving like a douchebag down the road. He had a convertible, which is very, very important to why I'm so angry at the end of the movie. He's in a convertible, okay? He starts smoking a doob, all right? They know their audience. They know me, right? That's not what I want to see James doing. If anything, James has a problem with alcohol, and it's not even flat out fucking said in the game. But man, did they lean into that hard in the movie. So he's smoking a joint, and he's driving his car. He's half paying attention. He's speeding. And then all of a sudden, instead of a ghostly figure walking out, a la Silent Hill, luggage appears out of nowhere. So he hits Mary's luggage. They don't know each other yet. This is their meet cube. Not meat cube. Meat cube. This is their meat cube. I was instantly angry. I was like, they didn't meet in Silent Hill. Silent Hill was their special place. Let alone, like, they haven't played the game very clearly through the entire movie. Just from the beginning, nobody played the game. I think they read maybe a fan fiction or something, because a lot of Silent Hill 2 is left up to player interpretation, by design. That's the way it was created. But there is, like, hardline narrative that you have to follow. It always has to be something sexual. And they couldn't even do that. So aside the fact that they don't know the source material, did anybody in that writing staff at all, I say staff, the one person who obviously wrote that, they ever been in a relationship? Right? It needs to be a special place. They showed Silent Hill with Mary and James having a life there. There was nothing special about it. I don't know. They automatically raped the story, like right there. So anyways, it sets up for, this is how they met, and then there's a bunch of weird cult shit. They really can't let the cult stuff go. They didn't need the cult at all. They could have made a slight mention to it, you know, but they incorporated it fully incorporated the fucking cult into the second story, and it just wasn't there. But I'm getting angry talking about this. So, scene. We meet Angela. They fucking did her dirty. Something really bothered me about the first interaction that they had in the movie. You know, they met in the graveyard. She was putting sandbags to flood the graveyard. They couldn't just have her looking at this. Whatever, focus, Craig. Focus. They had their interaction. Hey, I'm looking for, someone very special to me. Blah blah blah. The way that they were speaking to each other wasn't actually angry. I was like, okay. Every time that they kind of leaned into doing something correct, they ultimately fucked it up. He said he was going to go into town and look for her. I'm obviously paraphrasing. Angela said something like, "You're not going to find her." Something like that. And then she said, if you can't find her, this is what bothered me. You can come back and find me. Though, right from the get-go, in Silent Hill 2, Angela doesn't want James too close to her at all. At all. She does not want him close at all. They did that, and that was a real gross one. Even my son said something out loud. He was like, no. It's not, because that was kind of wrong. Because they didn't fully flesh out her character in the movie, but the scenes that she was in, they were like still leaning towards it. Her story was the same as in the game, although they didn't overtly say it. So they kind of took a rape victim and then made her like seem thirsty for James. That rubbed me the wrong way. And don't get me, what they did to Eddie was gross. Eddie is gross. So I don't know how you made it worse, but you did. They made him the sidest of sidey side characters that ever existed. He was there to pretty much, when James goes to grab the key, he doesn't do this in the movie, but this is the scene that they tried to recreate, and they inserted Eddie into it. When he goes to grab the key in the apartments, and Laura steps on his hand, and she goes, ha ha, and takes off. Which plays into the scene where you see her after, where he goes, hey, your little girl stepped on my hand. They had Laura, who's played by the same girl from the remake, by the way. Voice actor, and they modeled her face and everything. So it's Laura, and I don't know, I felt bad. I felt bad for the actress. I felt bad for the girl. Because I was like, she knows. She came off of the remake, and she's going into this. She knows that it's not right. But she's a kid actor, so you know, what are you going to do? They made her like a dirty, homeless, fucking Silent Hill local. Totally gutted her story. Completely gone. And instead of her stepping on James's hand, Eddie hits James, and then that's Eddie. So they tried to recreate that scene with Laura stepping on his hand, and they inserted Eddie into it, and then that was it. The only thing they got accurate is that Eddie was throwing up in the toilet. His demeanor was incorrect. Everything. That's the one thing they didn't nail. Like, I understand when they take liberties on stuff like, the older gaming movies. There was base story, and you got to make it into at least an hour and a half to 2-hour movies back then wasn't, whatever. But they made some bullshit to go around it. Super Mario Brothers. He technically, in the Super Mario Brothers movie from the 90s, he technically did all the things that you do in the game. Right? The princess got kidnapped, he went into the Mushroom Kingdom, and he restored balance. It wasn't a good movie, but he did the thing. And that's all they had to follow. Now, it's not just you have a fully fleshed out story to follow. Characters have depth. You have to meet that depth in order to make it work, especially so to make it work on camera, because we don't have the interactive part to pull us in if the story's shit. Like the whole package needs to be complete. So they have these characters and they know how much we love this source material. I'm gonna start going into Welcome to Raccoon City too, because they did this in here, and then we're gonna circle back to the offensive part. What happens is the first Resident Evil movie was okay because it was what it was. It wasn't the game. I snuck out of school when that movie came out. I went with my friend Nate, and we left school. We went to the movie theater. We saw it. It was okay. It wasn't worth whatever trouble we could have gotten in. I probably could have waited. But I went to go see Resident Evil Apocalypse, and then after that I was like, I'm good on these movies. I look at I don't look at them. I can't say I don't look at them distastefully, because I do, but I don't talk about them a lot like on this channel. I think I do tell this story a lot, and I'll tell it again for anyone who hasn't heard. I went to a cookout once with a bunch of people that I didn't know, which is already awful. I have social disability. I have agoraphobia. This stuff is like, I take medicine for this. I have a hard time in crowds. There was one man who had a Resident Evil 2 logo shirt on, and it was like beat to shit. So I was like, this is my guy. So I went over and started talking to him, and I was like, I like the shirt. Yep. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, I love Resident Evil. We started talking, and I started talking about the games. And he was like, oh no. He's like, a big fan of the movies. I don't play games. And I was like, fuck this guy. That's how I look at it. They're different. It's not like fuck this guy, whatever. If you like the movies and don't like the games, I wouldn't say anything negative to you. They're two separate things. And it's okay to have them be two separate things. When Davis Films got their hands on it and made Welcome to Raccoon City, they tried to make it like the games. But they did the same thing that they did to Silent Hill. And I know that it was different directors, but it was done under the same roof. It felt like I was watching a really bad play. Maybe, no, a really good play? I can't tell. I used to go to plays a lot in Colonial Theater in Keene. I can't tell if it's a good play or bad play, but it felt like a play, and not just because of the acting, and it did feel like everybody was reading lines like directly off to where they were looking. The scenery was small. It had no depth. It really looked like you were looking in a diorama or you were watching a stage play. And the bad part about this is they nailed the background. They nailed the aesthetics, not the characters, but the whole Raccoon City that they showed, they nailed it. They did a great job. But they fucked everything else up. So then while we were watching Welcome to Raccoon City and they were showing locations, and I was like, holy shit, they nailed it. And then the rest of the movie around it's bad. I told my son, I was like, that's kind of like offensive. It's like they're feeding you shit, and then they're showing you a picture of something you like, and they're like, you like that, right? You should like it, otherwise you're not a real fan. That's not what we want. And then you get in an argument with Silent Hill 2, Return to Silent Hill did the same thing. They nailed some of the locations. They did a few areas where it was like dead on. I don't like the scene where he met Mary, but that is the parking lot where Silent Hill 2, the game starts, and they nailed it. The view outwards, they didn't, but the actual like parking lot with the building there, they nailed it. They did a great job. But the rest of the movie shit. So then there was a bunch of scenes like that with the parking lot. From the opening scene and stuff like that, where they did such a great job. But at this point, I wasn't even excited to see it, because I was like, if you could have done that, you could have done this. Why did you put so much effort into doing this to try and distract somebody from something that you know is going to make people angry? Yeah, it's offensive. But there was a lot of scenes like that where it felt compact. Or it felt like I was just looking at a still image. and it wasn't part of the movie. But anyway, so James and Mary aren't married. They're boyfriend, girlfriend. She didn't have an illness. Well, kind of. But the cult used her for some jelly on her body. I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm starting to just suppress that memory. The cult was using her, and her dad, started this whole ritual. And they worked in a ritual, but it wasn't the ritual from Silent Hill 2. And they pulled in the same cult from Silent Hill, the older movies. And it was just, we were done. I think I got up and made a snack and stuff. I missed half of the Eddie scene. I had to go back and watch it. Towards the end, I started to get up, I did some dishes, and I just started listening. And then when the ending came, I sat back down and absorbed it. And it was bad. It was all around terrible. I don't suggest this movie if you're an actual fan of the series. No, I don't suggest that you watch this movie if you're a fan of movies. It was objectively a bad movie. The acting was bad. I told you they nailed some of the scenery, but then they couldn't make the dude's beard look real. You know what I mean? First of all, if I shave my face, I look like a completely different person. I can grow it back in a week. Should be a prerequisite. If you're going to have a beard, at this point in time, just have the dude grow a beard. Growth hormones are in our food. You can grow a beard in 2 days. But it was uneven, and it was very obviously made to capitalize off of the upswing that was from the gaming portion of Silent Hill's comeback. And I didn't even look up numbers. I didn't look up anything about this movie. The only information I got up until I watched it was fed to me by you guys in comments. I did have a couple people say they went to go see it. And then I had someone in my comments, when I said I was going to do this video, say that they were a real Silent Hill fan and they didn't see it. No, I'm a real Silent Hill fan, and I did this for you. The movie's awful. It's really offensive. And let's do one thing. The next time they make a Silent Hill movie, because they're going to let somebody else take a crack at it. Pyramid Head's not an assist character. He's not a Mortal Kombat cameo. He's not a good guy. They keep trying to shoo him in as some kind of a good guy. They did it in Revelation. They did it again in here. He's a rapist and a murderer, because that's James' dark passenger, if you will. Stop putting him in things that he doesn't need to be in. He didn't even need to be in that movie. They could have used the Butcher. They literally could have just made a new character. They should have just made a standalone movie. So as a Silent Hill fan, it's offensive. As a movie fan, it's even more offensive. Because who is your audience outside of the people who played the game? An average horror fan would watch that and be genuinely upset that they wasted their time. Especially since it's not even promoted as a so bad it's good movie. It doesn't have that quality. I would suggest, if you want to see a major takedown that I personally enjoy about this movie, go over to Space Ice's channel. He's actually the reason that I watched the movie, because we watch every Space Ice video, my son and I, especially the action movie ones. And he posted the Return to Silent Hill, and we couldn't watch it because we hadn't watched that movie. That's where he asked if we could watch. Now I remember. That's when my son asked if we could watch Return to Silent Hill, and I was like, I ain't paying for it. But it was bad. So check out Space Ice's takedown on that movie. It was fucking great. Thank you guys for watching.